Squad Levi watches as the last flares fade away. They can also see the explosion the flares were pointed towards also fading away. Levi believes the scouts were tracking whoever or whatever created the explosion, but were stopped by an unknown force. Eld believes that said unknown force was the Beast Titan, but Levi dismisses it as they won't know for sure until they rendezvous with the scouts. For now, they'll ride towards the explosion as that's what the Survey Corps were targeting. Peak witnesses the explosion as well. She separated from Reiner and Zeke to speed up the search for Bertholdt. Reiner had told her that the scouts were taking him towards the Krolva district, so odds are Bertholdt is being moved in the opposite direction and is heading towards the Karanis district. Right now, Peak is camping on the outskirts of the Karanis district, carefully watching the entrance for any signs of Bertholdt. Then she sees the explosion and realizes she overshot her target. She's too far west and must turn back. Peak believes Bertholdt would only transform by himself if he was in danger and was trying to signal someone, so she races towards him at full speed. The Survey Corps watch in horror as Zeke's titans all turn at once and charge, and just beyond the horde of titans, they can see the armored titan sprinting towards the explosion. If they're stopped here, it's all over. The scouts disperse across the plane, trying to slip through the incoming horde, but Erwin has made a critical misjudgment. These are not the mindless titans he's accustomed to dealing with. He assumed the titans would scatter as they individually pursued scouts, and each titan would stop when they grabbed a scout. That scenario would have allowed the majority of the scouts to navigate through the chaos and continue on. Instead, Zeke's titans charge as a unit, straight through the center of the Survey Corps formation before reversing direction to give chase. Rather than being devoured, most scouts are trampled to death. Even Erwin, who was positioned at the center of the scouts formation, is knocked off his horse and is nearly trampled before another scout gives up their horse and sacrifices themselves to save him. And it's because Zeke's titans cause so much chaos that Squad Levi would notice the flare stopping, as many scouts are either dismounted or are desperately swerving their horses to avoid being killed. Even with Zeke's titans inside their ranks, the Survey Corps continues to push forward, determined not to lose sight of the armored titan. As Bertholdt walks towards the flares, he realizes he transformed too early, but he chooses to stay in his titan form for safety. His decision to transform may have been impulsive, but regardless, he has to live with it. John, Sasha, Mikasa, and Armin regroup and start planning. Since they have never faced a Colossal Titan before, they don't know its weaknesses. Mikasa tries to attack the Colossal's nape, but is instantly blown away by steam. Because they're fighting in a somewhat open plain, when Mikasa is blown away, she has no way to recover and crashes into the floor, breaking her ODM gear and injuring her. Seeing this, John charges at the Colossal, this time aiming at its legs, but he's also blown away. As Sasha tends to Mikasa, Armin shouts at John that they must keep attacking the Colossal's legs. It's too risky to aim above the legs, as if they're blown away, they'll have no way to brace their fall. And if they stop attacking, the Colossal will escape, and with their horses dead, they'll have no way to pursue it. Armin and John relentlessly attack the Colossal's legs, trying their best to keep it stationary until reinforcements arrive. Eventually, Mikasa is back on her feet, and Armin gives up his ODM gear so she and Sasha can assist John. And now that Armin isn't the one fighting, he notices that the Colossal's legs have lost a lot of muscle mass, especially below the knees where he and John were attacking. He shares his insight with John, Sasha, and Mikasa and suggests that they're making some progress in weakening the Colossal Titan. But then, in the direction that the Colossal Titan was walking towards, they see the armored titan racing towards them. Armin spirit begins to break. Just when they started making progress on the Colossal, now they have to face the Armored as well, and the Survey Corps have not reached them yet. Zeke calls out to Bertholdt, asking about Peak's whereabouts. Bertholdt partially exits the Titan and replies that he hasn't seen her. Zeke says that this is no good. Everyone is exhausted, and the Survey Corps is right on their tails. Zeke explains that Peak probably saw the explosion and is racing towards it, so they can't leave their positions under any circumstances. Zeke then asks Bertholdt who he's been fighting, and Bertholdt points behind him. Bertholdt then fully exits his Titan and leaps atop Reiner, who charges at Armin, Mikasa, John, and Sasha. Mikasa frantically asks Armin if he has a plan, but nothing. Armin is panicking now. We see Sasha squinting a bit, and she points out that there's now 2 people on the Armored Titan's shoulders. When John notices as well, he says they have a second chance in capturing Bertholdt. So, when Reiner gets closer, Mikasa attacks his left shoulder, where Zeke is sitting, and John and Sasha attack the right, where Bertholdt is sitting. This forces Reiner to cover both his shoulders with his hands. Bertholdt asks Zeke if they should help, but Zeke responds that they have to conserve their strength. This standoff between Reiner and the scouts continues until the Survey Corps are spotted. When Reiner points this out to Zeke, Zeke says that now he'll transform. Reiner lobs Zeke in the Survey Corps' direction, and he transforms to face them. Zeke digs his nails into the ground, trying to find something that he could throw, but settles with a few pebbles and a handful of dirt. Normally, such an attack would be ineffective, but with Zeke's Titans running inside the Survey Corps' ranks, any scout that gets disoriented by all the dirt and rocks is promptly trampled or eaten. Mikasa sees what Zeke's doing and tries to stop him, but each time she's intercepted by the Armored Titan. The situation goes from bad to worse when Peak finally arrives on the battlefield, while Squad Levi is still nowhere to be seen. Peak runs to Zeke and asks if they can depart now. Zeke says that they'll need to eliminate their pursuers first. Peak begins searching the battlefield for a large boulder that Zeke could use, and no one stops her as she finds one and rolls it towards Zeke. Zeke unleashes the first volley, simultaneously slaughtering his own Titans and the scouts. The battlefield becomes enveloped in Titan steam and blood. Erwin and the scouts continue charging. They're in an open plain, so they'll have nowhere to hide if they stop. It's either they reach the Beast Titan or they're wiped out. Peak rolls a second boulder towards Zeke, who crushes it in his hand for a second volley. Just moments before Zeke unleashes his second volley, Squad Levi, accompanied by Mike, finally join the battle. Levi and Mike launch a surprise attack on Zeke, targeting his arms and his eyes. At the same time, Eren rushes to aid his friends against the Armored Titan. Eren delivers a sucker punch to Reiner's jaw that does little damage. Reiner counters with a devastating punch that sends Eren flying across the battlefield. As Reiner prepares to follow up his attack, Bertholdt draws his attention to the right. Reiner turns and sees Zeke being absolutely eviscerated by Levi and Mike. Realizing the urgency, Reiner shifts his focus to protecting Zeke from capture. Zeke collapses face first into the ground, while Levi, determined to end the fight quickly, hurtles towards his nate. Bertholdt shouts at Reiner to throw him at Zeke. Shocked at Bertholdt's sudden assertiveness and recognizing the urgency of the situation, Reiner, without hesitation, lobs Bertholdt in between Levi and Zeke. And as Bertholdt begins to descend, he cuts his hand. Mike shouts at Levi to get away, with the rest of Squad Levi screaming in fear for their captain's safety. Levi desperately covers his face with his hands as Bertholdt undergoes his transformation, causing Levi's skin to burn as he's blown away. In the aftermath, a partial Titan emerges, similar to the one Eren created in this scene. The Cart Titan and Armored Titan disappear into the resulting steam, and when it clears, only the Cart Titan emerges, racing away at full speed, carrying the Titan shifters. Squad Levi and Mike rush to Levi's side and witness the severity of his injuries. Covered in burns and sustaining physical trauma from the fall, Levi is in critical condition. Erwin and the scouts arrive at the scene and catch sight of the fleeing cart titan. As Erwin prepares to give chase, he glimpses Levi's fall, and with a pained expression, he continues his pursuit. Eren and his friends rush to Levi, but Mike instructs them to assist Erwin instead. Despite their efforts, the pursuit ultimately fails, as the cart titan is just too fast and had a considerable head start. So the Survey Corps clean up the remnants of Zeke's titans before withdrawing to the walls. As Levi is receiving care in the Tross district, he receives a visit from Erwin, who apologizes for abandoning him to pursue the cart titan. But Levi mocks him for even regretting the decision, which causes Erwin to smirk. Erwin then shares Hanji's report with Levi. The report detailed Hanji coming across masked individuals riding atop the cart titan and holding strange canisters just a short distance away from an empty village. Taking into account Hanji's report and Eren's dream, Erwin deduces the existence of an unknown society beyond the walls from which Grisha and the Titan Shifters originated, and is also responsible for the existence of Titans. Erwin informs Levi of his theory and tells him that once he's recovered, they'll launch the expedition to liberate Shiganshina and finally reach Grisha's basement. But unbeknownst to Erwin, the royal government and Rod race are about to make their move. In part 5, we'll explain how all of that plays out differently, with Squad Levi surviving and Historia being dead.